I just bought the most expensive guitar I've ever purchased, but it's also probably the ugliest.
It's kind of ugly.
As you can no doubt see, there's a rainbow behind me, but with the rainbow comes rain clouds, and the wind is coming this direction. Probably a metaphor. By buying this guitar, I'm either gonna find gold at the end of the rainbow, or I'm gonna get dumped on by a thunderstorm. Now, I make no secret of the fact that I hate Facebook. Marketplace is probably the worst site I've ever been on. But given their inexplicable stronghold on the used item market, sometimes I have to capitulate. Regardless, I was on Marketplace and I saw what I don't usually see in my town. And what I saw was a vintage Fender at a somewhat reasonable price. Problem was, it was nothing but red flags. Let's check it out. This guitar was listed as a 1967 Fender Telecaster, but at first glance, it looks like it's from the 2000s. The paint color's wrong, the pickguard's wrong, the bridge is wrong, pretty much everything's wrong. And look, even here, the headstock logo completely wrong, the tuner's completely wrong, but in the hopes it was real, I went and checked it out. Another crazy detail about this deal is because Facebook is such a piece of shit, I didn't see the ad until it was already posted for 5 hours. And the guy got a lot of interest, but I kept nagging and bothering him until he finally said, sure, let's meet up. The guy selling it was super straightforward, super nice. Thanks, Andrew. But at the end of the day, I had to go home with the guitar. Elevator's slow as fuck. Boogie, is it a telly? Is it a telly? Is it a telly? The bridge, obviously incredibly modern. The control plate, no idea. Has a little bit of wear, but doesn't really look commensurate with a 1967. Pickguard looks modern. Paint, obviously, is purple with pearlescent. When we come to the back, we get our first taste of hope. Again, fully painted. Chips don't show any original paint underneath, but we've got a neck plate that points to early 1967, 201062. To complicate things further, 1967 is what's known as a transition year. Low production numbers and lots of changes occurred. So the month it was made has a lot to do with what features it should and shouldn't have. So let's get into it. But before we figure out what is correct and incorrect, we need to find out what it even is. Is it a 67 Tele? And if so, what month? Fairly early on in Fender production, they realized that on their 2-pickup Telecaster model, they realized that they needed a route to access the wire to the neck pickup. And so from around 1950 until it was phased out in 1968, you will see a little route here in between the neck pickup and the control cavity. So that's going to be our first clue if this is a body from 1967. Of course, many reproductions exist, and it is not a surefire way of knowing, but it will be a good starting point. The moment of truth. Okay, paint everywhere. No way to see original paint yet, but we do have the route, and it looks approximately correct. Obviously, this pickup has been spliced in. Very unlikely to be original. There is a Seymour Duncan wiring diagram printed out in the case, indicating that somebody obviously was doing some work on this. The pickguard is 3-ply, which is correct, but it doesn't look to have enough age on it to be original, but I'm no expert. Next up in our journey, we are going to look in the control cavity. Again, the control plate itself doesn't look to have that much age on it. And I don't know how to tell if the knobs are original. They appear to be solid shaft knobs. That is a splined pot, of course. And that is a solid shaft pot. So let's have a look. Okay, the switch, not original. This potentiometer is a DiMarzio, that's not original. The capacitor looks correct. Some of these wires look very old and cloth covered. They look correct. This potentiometer, let's check out the dates. Now that's the part number, but here is the date code, and it ends with 67. The week is obscured, but inside the case, which also is an interesting study, we will get to that later, there is a bag of spare parts. And among them is the other original pot. And we've got 2367, so the 23rd week. What I haven't mentioned yet is that because 67 is a transition year, early 67 contains many fewer of the upgrades or changes that CBS made, and therefore is more desirable. Pots are bought in bulk generally, and so 23rd week of 67 doesn't mean this guitar was made anywhere near that date, but it's not a bad sign. Also in the bag, a switch that is correct. Now this switch appears to be correct from around 1965 and upward. I don't know if this is the primer used by the refinisher or some evidence of original color, but there is a pink hue. Comparing the knobs, they do have every appearance of originality for the era. In the bag, we have some strap locks and another strap, which doesn't bode well for the originality of the strap buttons. Also in the bag, some frets, so a refret very likely had occurred. But the last encouraging thing in the bag is a apparently early correct bridge. The neck is a maple capped neck, meaning it has the appearance of a one-piece maple neck, but without the need for the skunk stripe plug, because the truss rod was installed before the fretboard. From what I've read, the maple cap neck is something Fender primarily only did from 66 to 68, so that is a good sign. But speaking of the neck, let's take it off. Oh, so there's like a metallic blue paint with a pink clear coat, and guess what? They used the pink clear coat on the neck as well. Some hideous Goto tuners covering up what has the appearance of Kluson tuners. Now Kluson is another change they made in 67 in the transition year. They switched to their Fender F tuners. From around 1967 to around 1976, these were made by a company called Race and Olmsted in the US, at which point Fender switched to Schaller. These are the originals. The way you can tell the difference is the Schallers have a collar on the shaft that requires larger holes in the peg head. And while I don't have an original set of double line Kluson tuners for this, I have some singles, which is what they use to cut down for a Fender headstock, and I will cut them down myself. Now, neck plates were just in a loose box, and they don't follow sequentially. However, 201 is near the beginning of 1967. I believe that 1966 stopped at around 200,000 even. Now, these aren't production numbers. This is just a sequence of codes. However, it is not a good way of dating an instrument, only approximating it. Now the screws and a lot of the hardware looks a little too clean for comfort, but perhaps this Telecaster, before getting fully molested, was in excellent condition. But changing out neck screws and stuff like that is exactly the kind of thing a noob restoring a guitar that has no business being restored would replace. First a glance under the plate. Again, just some of this pink stuff. I don't know if that is primer or this guitar used to be shell pink. It doesn't look particularly shell pink to me, but that was the color my daughter suggested for a refin. Okay, despite the virgin look of this neck with its pearloid finish, I'm gonna let you have the first glance before I see what we've got on here. Is it good? Hell to the yeah. May 67, B width. 3 probably means Telecaster, right? Now the inside of the neck pocket is fully painted, but there is a lot of damage, and I actually find that encouraging. That makes me think it's old. Also, this cutaway is something that Fender did away with around 1970, I believe. Again, could be a reproduction body. That doesn't really tell us anything definitive yet. The seller said the pickups were non-original. That's quite evident on the neck pickup, even though it's got, you know, historic style cloth covered wires. Clearly it's spliced in, clearly it's newer. But the bridge pickup, it's either relict or it's old. However, electrical tape is not original. It would have been wrapped in cloth. Oh no. Is that? Hopefully that's not pickup wire. That orange fluff is just from the case. It's not loose pickup wire, so there's a chance it works. Anyway, let's take off this bridge. Again, not a lot of age to the hardware, but it has a little bit of character. Seeing more spliced wires here. Not looking like an original pickup probably, but let's investigate. Here is the route. Again, messy, no idea if that's correct. Again, just some of this pink look. Now that is a loose piece of wire. So that pickup almost certainly doesn't work. A lot about this pickup looks correct. The gray bottom bobbin, the black top, the cutouts, the wiring's obviously not original, and then there's some black paint on the gray bobbin for some reason. But I believe that the gray bobbin is dated under this copper plate. Note, the plate itself is steel, it's just plated in copper. The plate is plated. What's going on here? There's something written in there. 3, 25, 67. Pretending we didn't see that loose bobbin wire, let's see if there's any reading on this pickup. Okay, that's actually right on the money for a 67 pickup, I believe. I'm not really sure how that's possible with that loose bobbin wire, but I'm not gonna argue. Some of the wiring, probably this capacitor, is original. Again, we're getting no evidence of the original paint, and 1967 was also a transition year in finishes at Fender. Not that the finish is of any concern here because it's probably all gone, but in late 67 is when they switched from using a nitrocellulose clear coat top coat to polyurethane. Let's now look at the chips in the paint to see what's underneath and see if we can identify the wood species. A quick look at the decal, or decal as some say. It's all red flags here. This looks nothing like the placement of the original. Again, this is transition, so there should be a transition decal on here. Brass nut, not original, but I'm not complaining. I put a brass nut on, what? I thought I put a brass nut on one of these. Maybe on the meth stang? Now, without any expertise, so far I have neither any red flags or green flags about the originality of the body. It's in pretty nice shape, but who knows what happened in the refin. I'm not seeing original paint anywhere, so I'm going to take all the electronics out and then compare the routes to an original picture I find online. The neck pickup screws are very stripped out, which might mean they're original, or they just got destroyed. This is interesting, actually. The wire looks like a good match, and that it was just cut out. The bobbin's looking fairly new, but let's compare this against an original. If the neck pickup's original and the bridge pickup's original, then this was an excellent purchase, even if the body turns out to be modern. In 1965, CBS switched Fender's production from having hand-tensioned, hand-wound pickups to machine-wound, and they started having a fairly consistent output rating in the mid to high sixes. So let's see what we get out of this neck pickup. 6.72. The jack cup has some age to it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to take these jack cups out. There should be some sort of retainer clip, but I'm not seeing it. All right, let's compare it to an original body. All right, overall view, everything seems to line up well. All of the routes look correct. If we come over to the bridge pickup, you can see in the upper left corner there that that's where the router first entered. It's got a little round circle there that matches. Come over to the control cavity, you can see there's also a router mark on my guitar at the bottom end of the control cavity, whereas on this 67 or 68 example, it is in the top of the control cavity. Let's see if the original bridge holes line up. I'm noticing a little bit of a gap from the bridge pickup route. The internet tells me that that gap next to the bridge plate is affectionately known as the telly butt crack. Basically, it's just meant to be covered with the ashtray cover, which is most frequently removed and lost. The bridge is correct. These threaded saddles transitioned out in 67 by 68. They have solid barrels. The neck screws are the correct length and aesthetically look the same as original. So let's do a quick run through of all the details. Neck, original, but refinished, refretted, relogoed, retunered. Bridge, original correct. Bridge pickup appears to be mostly original. Neck pickup, inconclusive, possibly original. Potentiometers, original. Switch, original. Switchcraft jack, original. Neck plate, original. The control plate has a good amount of aging to it, so I'm going to call that very probably original as well. although in very nice condition on the exterior. Even the strap buttons appear to be an aesthetic match to the ones I found online. Most of the hardware appears original, as well as the knobs. Body, no red flags. Very possibly could be an original 1967 body. Let's dig deeper into the paint. There's more of that pink. But there's also more of the pink over on this side, which I believe there should have been a paint stick blocking it from getting painted there. Butt ton of glue. Oh no, the clip is in there, but also a butt ton of glue. I feel like this is my last chance to find any original paint, if anywhere. Again, just more of this pink on top of ash. There's a little bit of whiteness in there, but that could just be blade rash. Looking like this thing probably got stripped all the way down, but if the stamp still exists, they should be more in this area. Been scraping, at least some of this has some age under it. This looks brand new, but that looks dirty and old. Can I get some stamps, please? This feels like a losing game of Battleship. Okay, I didn't have any luck finding stamps, at least not that are discernible. There is this grease marker T, and that is something you would see on old Fenders. Sort of crazy. This is sort of finished area that might have been finished if there was a spray stick, but it's clear. Were there natural finish Telecasters in the 60s? So some digging around shows that natural finish was offered in 1968 on certain models. I believe the custom Telecasters with the binding. However, even more research still shows that Fender and other brands sometimes did things that were not up to the specs of the keyboard warriors on forums. So I'm not discounting entirely that a natural finish could have existed prior to 1968, because why the hell not? Overall, feeling very encouraged. It seems like I've got 95% minus finish and tuners of an original 1967 Telecaster prior to CBS transition, so that's awesome. But now let's examine the case. Okay, so the case actually might be the craziest part of this guitar. You'll notice there's some original white Tolex underneath the logo, on the ends, and here. White Tolex was only used on Fender Telecaster cases from 62 to 63, I believe. Sorry, I was wrong. The white Tolex was used only from 63 to 64. Ouch, I didn't notice that before. But this logo is 67 and later correct. And the layout with this tapered pocket is later than the white Tolex years. Again, this white Tolex appears to be completely original. So this might be the rarest part of the instrument altogether. Unfortunately, somebody ripped off 95% of the Tolex, but all signs to point to it being an original white one. I'm not a wealthy man, so saying this is the most I've ever spent for a guitar isn't saying a lot. But I asked my daughter how much she thought I paid.
800.
More.
900.
More.
1,000.
Even more.
1,001.
More.
1,010.
More.
1,020.
More.
1,050.
More.
1,100.
That's 1,100.
Yeah.
No. Much more.
Dad. $100,000.
$100,000. So, you tell me, what do you think I paid for this Telecaster? And secondly,
It's kind of ugly.
I asked my daughter what color I should paint it. She said shell pink probably. She wasn't that down for sunburst. I don't really know. I don't think shell pink was an option in 67. It'd be cool to do a matched headstock since the headstock's already refinished. Anyway, let me know what color I should paint it and look forward to the restoration video because I sure am.
This morning the sun in hills beauty arose. The dry nights of shadow